this video I'm going to talk about two things. Number one is what do we do with Tesla when we leave for longer periods of time? And number two, I'm going to talk about Tesla Model 3 road trip that has been interrupted, unfortunately, due to major accident in Greece. So let's talk about what we do about the car, electric car, and more specifically about Tesla when we go away for longer periods of time. Recommended is to have the car plugged in and ready to be charged via your mobile phone application. And that's what I'm going to show you here later on. So have it plugged in just in case you need to charge it, because we have to face the consequences. If we leave for longer and the battery gets depleted to zero, then it's not easy to recover the battery back up, and especially if you park the car away from charging points, like places like at the airport and so on. So firstly, make sure that your car is plugged in. At the moment it's charging. You don't have to have it charging, so just keep it in and ready to be charged with your application. At the moment we have a range of 290 kilometers, so that should last. Secondly, if you go to settings, controls and displays, make sure you tick that button off, always connected. That way your car will go into a so-called deep sleep and will not have too much vampire range or vampire drain during your time away. So displays, always connected, is off. That way it will not be connecting with your application. Car will wake up when you log into your app, and but I'd suggest you don't be tempted to keep checking your car every week. I'll be checking this application in about 3 weeks time, because recently I've tested this and the car was in this sleep mode for 3 days, and range loss we experienced here was 18 kilometers. So range loss in 3 days was 18 kilometers. If I'm away for 30 days, that means times 10, so 180 kilometers should be enough for 1 month or 4 weeks. And thirdly, what I've done here, you may not have to, but I've turned the car into valet mode, just, you know, valet mode for some unknown reason, but I think it's it limits the visibility of the map of your location and things like that. So firstly, keep your car plugged in, always connected, unticked, and in a valet mode, and that should be good for the car to sleep for an extended period of time and not to lose much of the charge. So 290 kilometers is 82%, so keep the charge up to 80% max. Don't go too high, because that would degrade the battery. So keep your charge between 20 and 80%. Have you heard of Tesla Model 3 road trip? It started in San Francisco in US, and a gentleman called You You, he's a long-term owner of Model S, and he bought Model 3, and he had this clever idea to start driving around United States and Canada to show this car to the people who would normally never see it. And for those actually who have, especially for those who have a reservation for Model 3, but were not able to see it in reality. So he started driving, and he visited about 36 countries in US and Canada, about 3 territories. And he showed this car, and he enabled to test drive this car to other people who have a reservation or who want to place a reservation for this car. Now, after a successful trip in America, he shipped the car to Europe, not realizing that he was not going to be able to charge it or supercharge it in Europe, because there is a very different plug in European and Australian market here as well. It's minimise type 2. In America, it's a very different plug. The only place I am aware that has this charger, both minimise Type 2 and US plug, is in Russia, in Moscow. There is one US charger and all the rest is minimise. So despite that, he realized that he will only be limited with charging with 32, 16 amp, 48 amp, not even 48, I think 32 amp max. So it made his trip much slower than he planned. Well, what do you do when you have a situation like that? You just keep going and make the best of whatever you can do to carry on your mission. So he's done really well. He's visited so many places. In America alone, he allowed to test and see, actually over 5,000 people experienced this Model 3 live. And now altogether over 8,000 people have seen this car, and many of them test drove it as well. He charged a small fee, of course, because that was part of the funding for the trip. People used to place bids on whoever had the higher bid was able to test drive it, and it was going well until something unfortunate happened in Greece. I don't know if you guys been following this trip, but what happened here? He used autopilot. Some people say quite recklessly, but look, we all do things we are not supposed to, especially in a long trip like this. He took risks, let's put it that way. And on a freeway, there was a fork. He was doing about 120 kilometers per hour. It was a slower section. He didn't notice that there was a 90 kilometers per hour speed limit there in that section. And the road suddenly came to a fork. And the line markings were quite predominant to the right-hand side. And the car was meant to go to the left in a fork. And at that fork, it suddenly took the right turn, and the driver responded, but responded a bit too late, and the car hit the divider barrier with the left-hand side. It ripped off the front wheel, damaged the side, the doors, and I think the back wheel as well. So the car is not drivable. And what I don't like is many people are smashing and criticizing and literally expressing their hate towards what he's done, which is not right, I think. You deserve some respect for what he has done. Yes, he's done many things that we are not supposed to do, but hey, we are all guilty in some way, using autopilot and taking our attention away from the road in front of us. Guys, put your hand on your heart if you own a Tesla and you used autopilot the way that it's not supposed to, like taking your hands off the wheel and so on. So come on, guys. You has done an amazing job, I think, for the brand, for Tesla brand, for the public to be able to see this car in real life. And he is doing a great job speeding up this electric revolution that we are currently seeing around the world towards electric vehicles and transportation that is way cheaper in the long run. It's clean, it's sustainable, and these cars can be charged using renewable energies like solar, wind and geothermal. It's absolute no-brainer. I'm saying this after a year and a half of research of electric vehicles, and after I have driven this car for about 8 months now. It's an absolutely amazing experience to be able to drive, especially Tesla cars, which are on the top of the game and will be on the top of the game for a few years to come. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you, You, for doing your amazing job. And guys, those of you who put those ugly comments there, just come on, grow up. What would you do? My question to you is, what would you do? Would you be such a smart if it happened to you? And we all take risks, and he is dealing with consequences very well. So if you would like to check it out, I'm posting the link below to this trip. The plan is now, he's reached out to Tesla and to Elon as well on Twitter. asking for help, and I think Tesla would be smart to help him out, because it's a great stunt for publicity of the company and of the Model 3 especially in the countries that would normally not see this car for another year or two. He has visited over 25 countries in Europe now, crisscross all over, and around 3,000 or over 3,000 people alone in Europe have seen and test drove this car. So great job, You You. And what do you guys think? Is You You entitled to a full repair bill at the zero cost from his pocket? Or should he deal with the consequences and finance all this repair himself? One major thing is that he didn't have insurance for this car. He only had a third party. So that's a bit risky, but hey, we all do things. He probably didn't want to or didn't have funds to cover that as well, but I think insurance is number one in this case. So let me know in comments below, guys. I'm going to be traveling for the following 4 weeks, so I'm looking forward to connecting with you online here while I'm away, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you back in Australia. Take care and stay safe on the roads. And remember, autopilot is only driver assistance feature, and these experiences are big learning for me as well, and I think for the whole community in the world, community of electric vehicles, and especially Teslas. Trust your own senses and always keep an eye on your autopilot when using it on the roads. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of these videos, click on the subscribe button here below and click on that bell notification next to it, so YouTube will send you a reminder when I upload upcoming videos. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.